Hello, what have we here? And welcome to a special episode of the There Are More of Us show, where we are celebrating the fathers in our community. Now, I asked these dads to share some special memories they've shared with their children through Star Wars and what Star Wars has taught them about being a father. So sit back and relax and enjoy this special episode of the There Are More of Us show. There are more of us.
Happy Father's Day, everyone. Chris, thank you so much, Star Wars lawyer, for the invitation to talk about, being a dad and raising a child who loves Star Wars. It was not something I planned. It was 2015, and the Disney hype train was out. The Force Awakens was coming out, and I walked into a Barnes and Noble bookstore, and I saw that they had little golden books of the first 6 movies. I thought that was awesome, and I took it home and gave them to Keith, and I didn't know whether he was going to like Star Wars or not, but he loved it. One of the highlights for me is, we've seen all of the films by that time, and, Keith is really into the Clone Wars. We saw Star Wars Rebels, so we pretty much have seen everything Star Wars related. But what was my highlight for me is Keith and I going to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center and seeing Star Wars live in concert. So that's where you have the orchestra playing the score to Star Wars as the movie is running. That was fantastic, and it was wonderful, and I was so glad to share that with Keith. And then, we love it so much, and we just started a podcast. So that's the reason why we're here. We love Star Wars. I always loved Star Wars since I was 12 years old, and I'm so fortunate and proud to pass it on to my son, and Keith and Maceo as well. Has seen a few Star Wars movies. We all went to see The Last Jedi, so it's a family event. We put it on whenever we want to in our home. So that's what it's about. So we love Star Wars. We always will. Thank you so much once again, everyone. Happy Father's Day.
What has Star Wars taught me about fatherhood, and what are some special Star Wars memories I've shared with my kids? Well, that's a great question, seeing that I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm a father as well. Father of 6, actually. And what Star Wars has taught me about fatherhood is that it's a selfless responsibility, and you'll do anything for your kids and sacrifice your own life for your kids. I mean, it's in my DNA, but just thinking about Star Wars, this is one of the things. There's many things I can go into about that it taught me, but with this one, Darth Vader, for instance. Darth Vader got his butt whooped by Luke Skywalker on the second Death Star. And then the Emperor decided to shock Luke and try to destroy him or tame him, whatever he was trying to do. But Vader was like, nah, that's still my baby boy. That's my boy. We ain't having that. You gotta go. Selfless act, unconditional love for his child, for his kids. Even though he's got his butt whooped by his kid. So that's one. Another thing, seeing that I am married and we have a blended family, found family right there, because I've raised kids that weren't mine biologically, but they're mine. Love them to death. But because of that found family, I'm still their father. I'm their dad. Not trying to take the place of their biological father, but I'm there for them. I'm that father figure. So those are some of the things right there. Hopefully that can resonate with you guys. Now, some of the special Star Wars memories, 2 things in particular: Yoda rides, lightsabers, and Star Wars night, Disneyland. So I love them. We call piggyback rides Yoda rides for my daughter, and I actually owe her one because she just recently asked me for one last weekend, but my back was hurting, so I couldn't do it. My son, I was recently able to take him to Star Wars night at Disneyland, and it was great. tapped out because his feet was hurting. It wasn't feeling good, but we actually went to Galaxy's Edge and had a great time, fun times. And it's just lightsabers. I bought lightsabers for the whole family, and we have fun. So it's fun playing with them. So those are some of the things that I've shared with them amongst the movies. But yeah. So that's what Star Wars means to me as a father. And
I'm a Star Wars dad, and some of my favorite memories are actually watching the Clone Wars for the first time with my daughter. She instantly gravitated towards Ahsoka, and having Ahsoka be in so many different series, including the one of her own, has really solidified Star Wars, not just for me, but also for my daughter. She knows more about Star Wars than most 7-year-old girls do, and I absolutely love it. One show that has truly shaped my parenting style is The Bad Batch, especially the way the Batch and Omega work together, and they seem like a sense of parent. I watched that whole series with her from start to finish, and the tears that we shed at the end was something that I probably will never forget. Seeing her grow up into this amazing human being who knows who Anakin is and why he turned, and knows about Maul and knows about all of these things that have to do with Star Wars, is just one of the greatest memories that I'll ever have, and I really hope that it lives on with her. From me to you, happy Father's Day, and may the Force be with you.
Hello there, Thomas here. Happy Father's Day to all the fellow Star Wars dads out there. I want to say a special happy Father's Day, happy Star Wars Father's Day to my own dad. I don't know that I would be the fan that I am today, that I would have the love of the galaxy far, far away, had it not been for my dad plopping me down in front of our really old, like gigantic console TV, like one of those encased in wood, popping in his bootleg recorded copy of A New Hope that he had ripped off Fox on cable, something like that, and just hitting play. It was always a bonding element between me and my dad, and it continues to be to this day. We text each other back and forth about stuff like The Acolyte, Mandalorian, Andor, did you see the latest trailer, that sort of thing. So it keeps us connected. It's almost like the Force in a way, something that binds us together. And I've had the good fortune to be able to go with him and share my love of Star Wars at in-person things like Star Wars Celebration at cons. He was the one that first introduced me to the idea of a comic convention way back when I was probably 5 or 6, and he took me to my first one. So Star Wars for me will always be associated with my dad getting to talk about the characters, and probably looking back on it, him just listening as I babbled out all of my just genius theories, including that Y-Wings are the best, and him just listening to me grow in my love of Star Wars. I'm lucky enough to have 2 daughters now. They're newly turned 6 and 4, and they're on the front end of their Star Wars journey. And what I've reflected on is that everybody's pathway into the galaxy far, far away is different. My daughters are surrounded by Star Wars. Star Wars all around the house. I have a new set of Star Wars tattoos on my arm. They can't go 2 feet without being reminded of the galaxy far, far away. But yet, they're taking it in their own time. They still haven't watched all the movies. They haven't watched all the shows. They like a few things, but they're growing up in a very different world than kids of the 90s, kids of the 80s did. They've got way more choices right at their fingertips. Disney Plus has obviously the full catalog of everything that ever existed. There's just a lot more for their attention, but mine's a long game. And so eventually I know, my daughters will come around, and if they don't, that's their choice. And that's the beauty of Star Wars and of science fiction franchises, is they are what we make of them. that won't change my love of Star Wars. And what's cool is that they recognize that it's something that I really love. And at a minimum, whether they ever like it to the degree that I do, that's really irrelevant, because they recognize that it's something that's really important to me, even at that young age. And that's really, really cool to see. Eventually, I'll train them to only speak in Star Wars quotes, and that'll be regardless of whether they end up liking the movies. But for all you Star Wars dads out there, I hope you've had a similar experience. I'm still open to tips and tricks for what order to watch the movies in. Right now, we're on the chaos order, so like no semblance of story arc for anything. They just see something and they're like, well, let's watch 10 minutes of Phantom Menace. So their concept of the Skywalker saga and whatnot is going to be like completely scrambled, but that's okay, because all Star Wars is awesome. Happy Father's Day. Thanks for the chance to chip in on this video.
Hi, I'm Craig. Some of you might remember me as Dad the Bounty Hunter. It's been a while. But I'm glad to have the opportunity to just take a couple minutes and talk about what Star Wars means to me, celebrating Father's Day this upcoming weekend, and just how I feel Star Wars has impacted my life as a son and a father. So I was born in '79, while the original trilogy was coming out. And my dad and I just have always enjoyed Star Wars together. Matter of fact, one of my earliest memories was watching the behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi, sitting on the floor at my grandma's house because she had HBO. And I remember just being so blown away by the model work for the jungle scenes on Endor. Just one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. Is a vivid memory of mine. And then my kids were born just after the prequels were in the theater, so we watched them. I was a stickler. We watched in release order because that was the way that I felt that it should be done. But we have grown up together as a family, also really just enjoying and seeing a lot of meaning in Star Wars. And then it was so cool when the sequels came out and I was able to go and experience those movies in the theater with my own children. In more recent years, we've been able to go down to Disney and enjoy walking around the planet of Batuu. My son and I went to Savi's and built lightsabers together. It was just memories that are core memory type stuff that's never going to leave me. And I think thematically, when you look at Star Wars, and the relationship, in particular between father and son, because it's very poignant. It just permeates almost the entire story. If you look at an Anakin and the resurrection of Anakin out of being Darth Vader, it just drives home the point that when a father is present and makes sacrifices for his children, that, hey, listen, we're not perfect, right? None of us are perfect. We all screw up, and owning up to those mistakes and doing what needs to be done to make them right. It just really it hits home for somebody like me, who recently celebrated 5 years sobriety. Sorry, I cut myself off. But no, as somebody who is a recovering alcoholic and it recently celebrated 5 years sober from alcohol, is looking at the parallel between Anakin reemerging from Darth Vader to somebody who made a choice in myself that I wanted my kids to finish their formative years living at home with me, being proud of me for beating that and continuing to choose to beat it on a daily basis, rather than living the way that I was living before. It's a pretty cool parallel. May the Force be with you. Happy Father's Day.
I hope you enjoyed the special episode of the There Are More of Us show, and I hope you show love and appreciation to the fathers and father figures in your life. To all the dads out there, happy Father's Day. May the force be with you. And remember, until next time, there are more of us.